Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your girl Paris coming at you with another YouTube video from my channel, Love Paris, bringing topics from my heart to yours. Jackson wanted to sit here and say what's up. He just wanted to say that he hoped that you all are having an amazing week, weekend, month, year. We just wanted to bring a little bit of color and joy into your life in this pandemic, okay? So, in this video, we're going to talk about nursing. I am a ICU nurse, and I've been a nurse for about 6 years, and I've been ICU for the entire time of my nursing career. I started traveling probably a year and a half ago, and it has its ups and downs, but for the most part, I definitely have been enjoying it. I've been a little bit homesick. I'm from Texas, but I'm a big girl, I'll get over it. So I actually came from home probably about a week ago, and I just started the first week of my extension. If you're a travel nurse, you know that they have assignments that are, sometimes can be 4 week, 8 week, but for the most part, they're 13 weeks where you go and take an assignment in a different location other than your home. And I chose Oxnard, California, here working in their ICU. They have an ICU and the CCU as well, and so I kind of flip back between each one of the ICUs. So I have always been very passionate about nursing and the performance of nursing. And, I've always been a very observant person. And so there's just some things that have been going on as an ICU nurse, as a nurse in general, that I kind of wanted to just kind of lay out a little bit if you're interested in travel nursing, especially during this pandemic. I think that we need to hold ourselves accountable and make sure that we are in the field that we want to be in, because ultimately, if you're doing something that you want, if you're doing something that you love, it definitely will reflect in your performance. So in COVID nursing right now, like I said, I've been nursing for almost 6 years, and nursing has definitely changed during the pandemic. It is definitely harder. Not necessarily, or in addition to physically, but also mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Whether you've been in New York, whether you've been in Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, California, any of you nurses know, even those who are in med-surg and other fields, it's hard. And daily, weekly, sometimes you see people die, and, it definitely affects your mental. So I just wanted to give a few tips to make sure that you're performing at your highest and making sure that you're taking care of yourselves as well. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my phone. I wrote down a few little notes just so I can keep on track. So the first thing, as I spoke about, COVID nursing is hard on your mental, your physical, and your emotional. So knowing that, you're going to see patients die sometimes all the time. You're going to see patients die daily, sometimes weekly. It's going to be more frequently, especially in the ICU. I've seen way more patients die than I've ever have, in a week before in my entire career. And so it takes a lot on me emotionally and physically. And, I just am aware that I'm breaking down. And I feel like as a nurse, you have to be aware of where you are mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You have to be aware of who you are. You have to be aware of when you're up and when you're down, because if you feel like you're getting to a moment to where you're about to break down, you probably should take a break in nursing. Now, saying this as a travel nurse, instead of taking a week or two between assignments, maybe you need to take a month between assignments. The money is good for nursing. However, we do have job security, but at what expense? So we have to realize that taking these jobs will help our bank accounts, and that's no lie. But at what expense? If you have a family at home, if you have small children at home, it's something you really need to consider in regards to, is making this amount of money, that important to me and the well-being of my family. Whether we know it or not, big pay package, small pay package, they're all being taxed. And what I've learned in travel nursing is that the stipends can only be maxed out so much. So a lot of times with these crisis pays, what they're doing is they're putting your extra money in your hourly. So yes, you're making $90, $100 an hour, but you're being taxed way more money. And I've seen a lot of people in group chats and things like that saying, man, where's all my money going? It is being taxed. Yes, you are getting paid more, but just make sure you realize the significance of the difference you would pay or the difference you would receive doing a crisis pay assignment versus a regular assignment or maybe a staff position at home. So all that's to say, make sure that you are taking the time to realize where you are mentally and emotionally and making sure that you're taking a break. Because when you bring that to the facility, when you bring that home, it affects your patient care, whether you know it or not. You're not as precise, you're not as detailed, you're not as compassionate. There are some patients that we have who are awake and still have a tube in their throat, and they are unable to stay still, so you have to keep going into the room and putting their foot back in the bed or making sure that they don't pull their tube out or things like that. That can be very taxing. So if you already come in empty, you get frustrated. I mean, let's just be honest. You get frustrated. So make sure you take the time to take a break for yourself, so you can rejuvenate, you can refresh, and you can reset, and then you can give these patients compassionate care as you would your family and friends. With that being said, make sure you're ready to come to work when you come to work, especially working in these COVID crisis assignments. Make sure you're ready to come to work. If you are sick, if you feel like you have a fever, if you just don't feel well, if you're like, man, I'm really tired, I kind of feel like don't come. Because ultimately, when you come into these units, especially during these crisis assignments, you are going to work. So don't be frustrated if you get an assignment, if you get a new patient coming in and then the patient has been discharged and then you get you're going to have to work. It is what it is. Nursing is physical, it's mental, it's all of the above. So if you are not ready to come to work, please stay at home. And I'm not trying to be mean about that, but what I'm saying is that it definitely reflects in your performance, and it ultimately puts more baggage on your other teammates, on your other nurses. I'm really big on being a team player. So, being in these COVID units, we have to put on all this garment. We have to go in and out sometimes. We're titrating drips, things like that. Sometimes, you may need your counterpart to come in and help you turn your patient or things like that. You want to be in a space to where you're able to help people. You want to be in a space to where you're able to be joyful and help people, if you see what I'm saying. You don't want to sit there and gripe or whine about why somebody keeps asking you for help. We can't get through this by ourselves. A lot of these hospitals don't have a lot of resources in regards to nurse assistants, in regards to, I used to work at UCLA and they had an actual lift team, but a lot of facilities don't have that. So with that in your mind, make sure that you are coming to work prepared to work. I also wanted to talk about being compassionate and being empathetic. Those are two things that I'm really big on as well. And I think that a lot of times we as nurses forget that these people could be our family members and our friends. And there's a certain level of care that we would expect if it was our family and friends. We have to remember the same care that we would want for our loved ones is the same care that we should be giving. A lot of times in these COVID rooms, I've seen rooms, flushes everywhere, chuck pads, medications all over, alcohol pads all over the floor. It's filthy, it's dirty. Who wants to live in that type of environment? Now, I get it. If you're in a cold, if you're just leaving from a cold, I get it. If something emergent has happened, I totally get it to where it would be messy. But if nothing has happened to that patient and it's just your status quo, you're turning, you're titrating small drips, especially if they're heavily sedated, go ahead and take the time to clean your rooms. I mean, it's just only right to me. It's only right to you. If you were a patient, put your, not even putting your loved ones there. If you were a patient sitting in a room, it doesn't matter if you're sedated. It doesn't matter if they're not with it. I just feel like you function better as a nurse when your rooms are clean. So the last thing I kind of wanted to talk about is making nursing fun. On the break when I went to Texas, I was like, you know what? I really didn't want to extend. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be very transparent with you all because it was so hard on my back. It was so hard on my mental. I just was like, you know what? I don't know if I could really extend. But, you know, it does satisfy me to know that I am helping people and I am applying for grad school. So this money is helping me be able to save for the time when I get accepted into grad school, which I'm already claiming right now. But, you know, small things I figured would kind of help me get through my 13 weeks. And those include, like, I bought 3 little undershirts, 3 long sleeve undershirts. I'm always cold in the hospital. I'm one of those. I'm always cold in the hospital. But I bought 3 like little different color undershirts, and so I literally lay, most of the time my shifts are 3 in a row. So what I like to do is I like to get all of my, I like to get my socks, I like to get my undershirts, I like to get my scrubs, and I kind of lay them out so I can visually, I'm a countdown type of chick, you know, so I'm like, okay, 1 suit gone, 2 left, so I only have 2 days left. And I know it seems kind of kiddie-ish, but it definitely helps me get through my weeks because I'm only like, okay, it's only 3 days. You know, you try to minute it as much as you can. The thing about it, that yes, we work 3 days, but if you're a nurse, you know, those 3 12-hour shifts sometimes feel like you're working every day. And, you know, no explanation really needs to be explained if you're not a nurse. And if you hear a nurse saying, you know, I'm tired, if you hear a nurse saying that, you know, my day was hard, yes, they're only working 3 days a week, but trust and believe. If you put yourself in their shoes and see what they've seen, it's hard. So, you know, doing small things, getting new pairs of socks, getting a new pair of shoes, getting a new water bottle, you know, making sure that you have good snacks as you're working, because sometimes you don't even have time to sit down. There's been shifts where I haven't sat down literally until 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning. You know, it just depends on what type of patients that you have. So really, you know, I like to have little handheld snacks, whether it be nuts. Y'all, sometimes I do chips. I'm not going to lie, I'm on a weight loss journey as well. But sometimes I do chips, gummies, you know, whatever, something just to keep in my mouth to kind of keep me going, keep sugar in my system so that way I can kind of keep my energy up. I bring coffee creamer so that way I have my own particular coffee creamer, the one that I like, and, you know, drinking water and energy drinks and all that kind of stuff. You know, do something at work that you know you look forward to. And I know that sounds kind of crazy. Do you look forward to drinking water? Well, no, but, you know, I look forward to looking at my cute new water bottle. I look forward to enjoying my new little shirts that I put on, knowing that I only have 2 more left. And then I'm, you know, off for a few days. So do small things that make you get through nursing. Another thing I wanted to talk about is being prepared to go in these COVID rooms. Now, we all know, you know, whether you're wearing a PAPR, whether you are wearing an N95, you have to wear all of this garment. And when you get in the room, you know, depending on who your coworkers are and are not, you know, you may have help for somebody to go out to knock on the door and have somebody help you and get you the supplies that you need. However, being a little bit proactive and knowing that you're going to have to go into COVID rooms, make sure that you bring all the supplies that you need. Make sure you bring plenty of things to clean the patient. Make sure you bring plenty of flushes. Make sure you kind of look and see what medications that are running out, because it's so frustrating, especially if you're in a unit where everybody is pretty busy and you don't really have the extra resources at night. It's so frustrating to have to de-gown. Be prepared. Look at what you need. Try to look and gaze and do the Where's Waldo, looking through your patients' rooms to kind of see the things that you need. Anticipate emergencies. Anticipate things that you need so that you don't have to keep going in and out of the rooms, because you're actually exposing yourself the more you gown and de-gown and go back into these rooms. So just make sure that you're prepared for the things that you need. Take some time to make sure that you are nursing at the best of your ability, because when you're at the best of your ability, you nurse at the best of your ability, you're a team, your teamwork is at its best ability, you're just an overall better person to work with. And, we're all going to get through this together. It's been hard for everybody, whether you're an entertainer, whether you are working in the healthcare field, whether you're working in, contracting, whether you are working in retail stores. It's been hard on everybody. And I think that nobody's issues are bigger than the other. So we all just have to really love and lean on one another, because we're only going to get through this together. And y'all, please, 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 please wear your masks. I am so tired of coming out and seeing people with no mask on. Do you know in Texas that there is a water park that was open? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Not a mask in sight. Now, it's okay to go outside and run and exercise with no mask on. You're swiftly passing people, making sure that not that many people are outside. But y'all, please don't take this as a joke. It's really not a joke. I've had so many patients who were in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s that have walked into the hospital and not left. It's not a joke. And I think y'all already know this, but it's almost like you do need to be reminded. It's not a joke. So I love you all. I can't wait to get to the next video. And